Hey guys, welcome back to the Passive Money Podcast. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Our names are Kirby and Alex, talking about everything revolving around finances, investing, and we got some crazy stories for you from Kirby's side. So if you want to jump into that with what's going on right now.
Talk about disaster home inspection, and usually, if you're smart, and I'm not calling anybody dumb, but what I'm saying is, if you're going to go out and purchase a rental property, a lot of lenders expect an inspection, but I mean, there's some lenders out there that don't. But it behooves you, even if you're paying cash, to pay that extra 400, 500, $600, whatever it costs to get a home inspection. And the reason why I was gonna show you is so today I went out and got a home inspection. I saw a property that I like. I'm not gonna put the property up there because I don't want to put nobody on blast, but I'm gonna show you some of the pictures that I seen with inside the home inspection. Um, but it behooves you to get a home inspection because you need to know everything that's going on with the property. Of course, if it's tenants already in the property, you don't expect it to be A1. You don't expect the remodel, looking like something on HGTV. You expect to see, normal wear and tear. Uh, you know, you may see some clothes around, or a kid's bedroom. They got clothes laying over. That's kids. That's what we do. I mean, hell, I'm old enough. I still do it today. So you expect stuff like that, but some things you don't expect. I'll just say it like this video, this picture here. You don't expect stuff like this. And let me frame that with saying this. Now, maybe if the spring or the stopper behind the door is missing, then if the stopper behind the door is missing, then they open the door, then the door will put a hole in the wall. I mean, with a little force of opening the door and then it slamming back, it will put a hole in the wall. But this right here is not a hole in the wall from a doorknob. This right here is just a regular hole in the wall. I mean, it looked like, I don't know, rats or something got a hold of it or something. It's just a hole in the wall. And then we go to the next picture. Then this is not the same. This is not the same wall. This is a different wall here. On the second picture, you see you got two holes in the wall, and they are not behind doors. Then you go to the third picture, which is a hole behind the door. Those are things that just stand out at you. One is stand out at you a couple things. The tenant that's in there, if you're buying it tenant occupied, the tenant in there is a problem. Either their kids are doing more than they should, or they got anger problems, or something's going on in the house that they're roughhousing around the house more than should be going on. This is more than standard wear and tear that's going on in the house. So that's a red flag. And this not a video talking about bashing the tenant or anything like that. It's just showing you things that you should expect or shouldn't expect when you're doing a home inspection, but it should start raising red flags of, even if you saw, instances like these three, start putting it in your mindset of, hey, who is the property manager from this? If the property manager is doing their job, then they at least should do an inspection every year, every month. Now, one hole in the wall, I get it. Holes all over the place, that means the property manager is not going doing their yearly inspection. That's telling me the tenants is in there doing way more than they should do. So if I was to acquire this property, my first modus operandi would be to replace the tenant, because only thing they would do, even if I fixed all these issues, would cause more issues to the property. I'll pause right there for you, Alex. You got any questions about that?
Yeah,
Inspection
with
in
the
general.
with the photos, so it doesn't look like huge damage, right? But could it lead to a higher cost than expected? Like you said, I mean, I haven't got my first property yet, working on that. But from experience from your end, you mentioned rats. Like, can Can that happen? A rat just crawls through a hole or creates a hole, goes right inside the wall.
Not a hole 3 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
No, that's not a rat hole. What that is, and I'm not gonna blame it on the kids or the owner or the tenant there, the parent there, but it's somebody in the house is doing something extraordinary. So right there, that's 4 holes. It's more than that in the house. But I just wanted to show those 3 pictures just to give an example of what's going on. But that's not a rat situation. That's
Right.
totally human malice on the property. And going back to our previous video about why tenants, ways that tenants could build relationships and be an asset to the landlord to keep
Right.
their rental prices lower. This right here will be a standout flag if I was managing a property personally to, 1, get rid of the tenant, or 2, raise the risk to keep covering the cost of the damage that they're doing to my asset. But the next picture 4, as you see here, the thermostat is missing the face of the thermostat. Now, this is the same unit. This is the same unit. I'm not going here photoshopping or taking this from other places. This is the same unit. Now, you see that the thermostat is missing. Yeah, the thermostat is a little bit older. I agree. But the whole thermostat missing, again, it's the thermostat missing is either the tenant, the property manager. So another thing I'm looking at is, if I was to acquire that property, the property manager will have to go, because I know the property manager is not doing their job. And I didn't go and ask them how long this been missing or anything like that. Seen it, kept going. Then you go see the 5th picture here that you see up here. This right here is a water leak. It's a water leak that's been leaking so long, and as you see the wet area still down there. Can you see it? The wet area is still down there. That means it's been leaking for a long time. The whole vanity is completely kaput. And this is actually up under the kitchen sink. So that whole countertop area, all that stuff will have to be replaced and removed because it's been sitting there for time on end. And the crazy part about it, in the inspection, the leak was gone. The leak was done, but you still see the water damage there.
Now it's dark.
So,
Is
excuse me?
it's the leak is dark. Like, is that just shading, or is that like mold starting to form?
No, it could be mold starting to form. I've looked at the inspection. I actually was, when he was doing the inspection, I actually had the realtor walking through there live while they was doing it. And so these are pictures actually from my phone when I was doing it, because I was doing the walkthrough virtually. So you have that, you see this, and it's crazy. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And then you see the facial expressions that I'm having and things like that. It's because it's like, what the heck is going on? But in my mind, I'm thinking, is this a tenant issue? Is it a property management issue? And the only reason I'm saying a property manager and not the owner itself or is it an owner issue? But I know the owner has a property manager. But the question is, even if you're own, and I know we're talking about passive income, and everybody on YouTube make it seem like passive income, you just sit there and do nothing.
Right.
If you don't have, or I'll use a word from George W. Bush: trust but verify. You trust that the property manager is doing their job, but you need to verify, i.e., talking to the property manager, saying, ask them, have you been to the unit? Have you been to the unit? And then when we went to go walk through this unit, the property manager give us a call and say, oh, well, we've been having trouble getting to this unit. Well, how long have you been having trouble getting to this unit? In the lease, it should say that we're doing a yearly inspection and we expect to have access to this unit, or we're coming into the unit. It should have that in the lease, but it's not. But this is a small property management firm, or one person operation, where this tenant, if they took care of the place, they rent would be stay fairly low because of the relationships you could build, like we talked about in the previous video. But in this instance here, with this water leak, the question was asked, and I didn't ask it, the realtor asked, hey, did you talk to your property manager about this issue? This was the reply. I don't know who they thought the realtor was. I don't know if they thought they was part of the inspection team or whatever, but the tenant replies, oh, we didn't tell the property manager about that because we didn't want them to come in here and fix it and raise the rent. So screening of tenant is key, is very key to understanding and having that relationship, making sure that the property managers or yourself, if you're managing a property yourself, is relaying, hey, I care about this property. I'd rather fix the issue before it balloons and be a different issue. Now, in this picture here with the water leak, now fixing a water leak would have been a simple fix. Maybe unclog the pipe. If if it was just started leaking and it was fairly new, dry it up, pat it up, good to go. But they let it sit for, it looked like months and years here. But now that water, and this is, you can't see to the right there, but what's going on is the water starts seeping to the right and just mildewing and decaying and dry rotting and warping all of the cabinets up under the sink going to the right. So all of those cabinets need to be replaced. So you didn't call the landlord or the property manager for, let's say, $100 fix. Now it's thousands of dollars of fixing that needs to be going on. Right. That's the crazy part. Last but not least, this picture here. This picture here, it looks like they trying to sell me groceries or something right there. But the truth is, the whole top cabinet is missing. And it's not missing as in the screws came off, it's missing as in broken. Because if you see the hinge from the cabinet still up there, the hinge and the base part of the cabinet still up there, but the rest of the cabinet to the left is missing. So again, that tells me that there's an aggression issue or there's not proper maintenance or supervision in the home. Now, I'm not gonna get into who the tenant was, how many kids they had in the property and things like that, but that's what's going on in the property. So me looking at that as an investor, as somebody that's looking to buy a property, those are some of the issues that I would. Now, if let's just say I went forward and bought this property. If I went forward, it would be major contingencies in there. The number one would be, what is the lease of that tenant? And then, of course, the owner that owns it now, if they wanted me to buy this property, they would have to come down on the price because I have to deal with this tenant. Let's just say they just signed a new year lease. I got to deal with this tenant for the next year. So now you're going to compensate me for having to deal with this madness. The second thing is property management. Is whoever the property manager was, they're gone. Because if they let this happen to them, they damn sure gonna let it happen to me. And then the third thing honestly would be all right, again, getting the tenant out of there, but still got to honor the lease, getting rid of the property manager, and then the cost that it would take for me to rehab and fix all of these issues that you see in these pictures here. That would all those things would encompass what I would have to go through in my mind's eye of what I have to deal with before, searching for a new property manager, getting a new tenant and all that. And then the cost to repair all these issues. Me, if I'm buying the property, I'm not eating all that cost. They advertised the property as it was good to go. I mean, they know that an inspection is coming and this stuff is still out there. They didn't do a walkthrough to see what's going on with the property they're selling? Probably not. But I'm not eating the cost. So all that cost that I would have to eat dealing with the tenant, property management, and repairing all these issues that you see, I would want that price off the property if I was to move forward with this property. But that's how it happens. Don't buy property sight unseen. Don't go Don't just believe, oh, because you see an advertisement, they have some good verbiage in the description, that everything is fine. Because this right here can happen to you. Anything else you got on that, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, what's going through my head with all this is like a lot of people tell me, as I'm investing in the stock market to eventually be able to purchase my first rental property, that investing in real estate is terrible because you got tenants like exactly like this, and it's a bunch of headaches and all that. Um, but these are people that think that you're managing the property yourself and not doing your due diligence as a investor, um, and looking for things like this, paying the appraisal fee, or not the appraisal fee, I'm sorry, the inspection fee, to look into a property like this and be patient when purchasing a property, looking for the right deal or negotiating a deal. As you said, they're going to have to compensate you if you do go into this property, and just treating it like a business. A lot of people invest in, or I think a lot of people that have one or two rental properties just treat it like a side hustle and not really like a business. And just to not discourage our viewers, if you do want to get into real estate, it can be profitable, but as you always say, you do need a lot of capital to be in that game of real estate.
And that's true. And for me, as somebody who's had properties burned down, had to rebuild them, to remodelings and things like this, to me it's cosmetic. That's why I see the issues that's there. You notice I didn't say, oh, this property's a dump. What I
Right,
see
right,
is
right,
it's
right.
a people problem. It's literally a people problem. And just because somebody has property manager next to their name, that don't mean they don't know what the hell they're doing. They know what the hell they're doing. What you as an owner need to do is focus on having a good sit down with the whatever property management company you have, and tell them your standards. If your standards, well, find out their standards. But if their standards don't meet your standards, move to a different property manager. Because if you don't have high qualifications or qualifications where people will have something at risk, big deposits, quality tenants that has a good rental history, um, not over flooding a property, signing on the lease that they have 2 people, but the property management don't check, and the next thing you know is 20 people living in a unit. Those things right there is going to damage your assets. And you as an owner don't think it's just 100%. And this passive game is never 100% set it and forget it. Now, it's some ways to go 100% set it and forget it. But if you do that, you're operating blindly. And then when things go wrong, it's going to go wrong badly. But it should be, set it, and then maybe you get an email from a property manager every quarter, every, every 6 months, letting you know, giving you an update on the property. Every property manager that I have, it's mandatory that they do a yearly inspection. It almost looked like an inspection when you first buy a house, and go through the property and show what's wrong. And then from there we delineate, is the owner, or is it my issue that I need to do? Is it just wear and tear on the property, or stuff is just degenerating? It's just from the property, or is it tennis fault? And then we go through that, and then once we figure it out, then if we decide if it's a lot of tenant issues, like if you see smoke detectors not in place where they should be, smoke detectors shouldn't be touched. So if those are missing, if door handles are missing, if just random things that just don't make sense should be happening in a year-over-year basis, then the tenant is a problem. You need to be working to get that tenant out. And the inspection should be happening before you re-up their lease, not after. It should be done before.
Right.
You should literally have, eyes on have somebody that's going to have a vested interest in having those tenants in there. Don't just think that, oh, property manager got it, everything's good as long as the check comes. Because like this seller here, he's expecting, above market price for this property. But he's going to realize that he's going to have to accept a way below market offer because of the tenants that he have in place, the loan, not the loan structure, but the lease structure that he has in place with the tenants and things like that. And this tenant here in this unit is horrible, just absolutely horrible. And that's things that you need to look at when you're, pay for the inspection. Pay for the inspection. I know a lot of people that like, no, I don't need no inspection. Pay for the inspection. It can save you in many ways. It can save you from it's way worse you paying $500, $400, $600 for an inspection to save you from losing tens of thousands of dollars on what tenants may have or may not have done, or the owner may have or may not have done. So the little money that you got to put up front to get it inspected is well worth it. Another thing that it'll do is let's say like me, I've been through this rodeo many of times, and I look at it as, oh, it's cosmetic, drywall, thermostat, fix the vanity, and fix a cabinet. For a layman that never done this, they'll think like, oh, this is a major project. For me, I'm looking like, okay, I know what it is. It's the people and it's some repairs that need to be done. But the seller don't know that. I can use that as ammunition to lower the price. But there's other issues with this property also, but we're not gonna get into that. But those are the things that I look at. That $500 that you got to pay for inspection can help you out in a lot of ways, especially bringing down the price of that home, especially if you already believe they at the top of the price range and you can bring it down 10, 20, $30,000. It will help you in a tremendous way, especially when you're going on your investment journey.
And this goes hand in hand with investing in general. Like, you're talking about doing all your due diligence on, looking at the inspection and verifying the property and all this. Like, it's the same way if you're buying a business. It's the same way if you're buying stocks or anything you invest in. You have to research it. Like, I hear from a lot of people that want to get involved in the stock market. Like, they start playing around with, penny stocks, or trying to do, buy puts and options, or puts and call options, and they don't know what they're doing or how to read the Greeks and, all those sorts of things. And they're just gambling with it. If you don't know what you're doing, when you're trying to invest, you're just gambling at that point. Like Robert Kiyosaki says, if you understand what you're doing, then there's relatively no risk, because you have knowledge on it. And I think that's a key factor in just investing in general, is having knowledge on what you are getting into or what you are involved in when investing, and execute from there.
And I agree with you 1000%. And like we talk about in the class, it's do your homework, do your homework, do your homework. Should nobody be surprising you outside your circle if you're doing your homework, if you're paying attention to what's going on? So in this situation here, I'm not gonna say how I'm gonna move forward with it. Still fresh on the brain. I literally got the inspection back about 2 hours before we started this video. But this is going to do one or two things for me. I paid the $500 to save me from spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's one thing it's going to do. Or this report is going to allow me to go back to the tables and renegotiate the price down exponentially from where it's at to get a way better deal on the property. And those are just things that you use and as you go through this, and that's what these videos are for, is to give you investors or potential future investors an idea and concept of what's going on in the market and how you navigate it. I know on social media and things like that, the word passive income gets thrown around a lot, but you have to do the due diligence first. You got to put the work in up front. You got to put the capital in up front. to make things passive, but nothing is 100% passive. You still have to stay on your A game. No, you won't have to work the 40 hours a week at a job, exchanging your time for money to get it done, but you still have to put a little work in, maybe, a couple hours a week, a couple hours a month, just to make sure that your portfolio is still trending in the upward trajectory. But with all that being said, thanks for joining the channel. Y'all have a good one.